I recorded a short on release, which is stage 4 of emotional healing, but I felt the need to really talk a little bit more in depth about this one because this is not an easy one. And if you are trying to follow along in my videos with the 7 stages of emotional healing and you're trying to really work through these, without the help of a counselor or a coach, I want to give you the right resources and give you a little bit more information. So as we talk about release, and this is stage 4, so the previous stages were awareness, acceptance, and processing. And then now here we come to release. And this is where you're actually letting go of those past experiences and the pent up feelings and all that energy that has consumed you. You're learning how to express your feelings in a healthy and constructive manner. And this is going to help you free yourself from the burden and make space for healing. And the next step that we're going to talk about in the next stage is growth. So I want to make sure that we get release down, and I really want to give you the right information about release. So I mentioned in my short that, the new story for you is going to be a seed of growth that's going to come from the rubble of your mistakes. And that's because you need to make friends with regret. Because of your regret and everything that you've gone through, you have learned to understand things differently, and you don't understand them as you once did. You're not the same person anymore. Now you're building your awareness on the ways that you've grown because of the things that you've gone through. And this is where you learn to commit to continued personal growth. This is how you're going to decide how your life, your relationships, your values, the ways of being in the world are going to be transformed positively as a result of the experience that you've gone through. And that brings transformation to fruition, really. So this process doesn't involve making regret disappear. Realistically, it's gonna teach you how, with release, how to make regret useful for you so that you can allow yourself to let go of the past and move forward. And I think a lot of people get stuck on the release stage because they don't know how to move forward. And I personally have met a ton of people professionally and personally that just talk about the past all the time. They cannot move forward. It's like they're stuck in something that happened like 20 years ago, and you sit there and you talk to them and you wonder, like, what is going on here? Like, are you really like stuck on it? Like, you can't get past it, but they haven't learned how to release things. And part of release is learning to look back and not look at it like it was necessarily the end of the world, but that it was just a change. It was something different. Whenever we talk about release, it's not necessarily just releasing yourself from the emotions. It's also releasing something that somebody else did to you. So it could be, an event that happened to you. You could have went through a traumatic experience. You could have been a victim of something. And in order to release, you are going to have to move forward to, with your life based on what somebody else did to you. And that is going to be like a process of unforgiveness. That could be a process that you have to take, that you need to get a therapist, that you need to get a coach. It could be something that you're not able to walk through on your own. If it was a very traumatic experience and somebody did something very traumatic to you, it might not be as easy as just having a bonfire and writing some things down on a piece of paper and throwing it into the fire. It might, really require some therapeutic methods and some things that you have to do to, really walk through that in order to be able to release that. And there is action that comes with the release stage as well. You have to look back on your life and you have to think about all the things that you've been through, mistakes that you've made, and see if there's anything that you need to do to go back and to repair relationships or to undo some damage. And then you also, even if somebody is not asking for your forgiveness, and even if they're not sorry for what they did to you, you still have to learn to forgive and to let that go. Even if they're not apologizing. And that can be really hard because you feel like you deserve an apology. Maybe you feel like, justice wasn't served and you don't find it possible. You don't see how it's possible to get through, the pain and what they've done to you. And I'm sure that there's a lot of situations that I cannot relate to, you know, losing a child. I've heard of people getting like their children murdered, a child murdered, or a child, you know, ran over and killed by a drunk driver, and how they move forward to be able to forgive that person, even if that person isn't even sorry and there's no remorse. I can't tell you how to do that. I just know that the part of release that is so imperative is that you are able to move forward with your life and not continue to get stuck on the past and things that have been done to you and things that you've done. It is imperative, you know, as you're driving a car and you're looking through the windshield, you're not looking behind you in the rearview mirror the entire time that you're driving on the road, because if you continue to look in the rearview mirror, you will miss out on what's right in front of you, and you'll probably crash into the car in front of you. And so there's a reason why the rear view mirror is pointing back and it's smaller. It's because we're not supposed to focus on what's behind us. We're really supposed to focus on what's ahead.